What if I told you the greatest wealth transfer in human history didn't happen during the dot-com boom or with the rise of Bitcoin or even in some secretive Silicon Valley basement, but rather in the freezing mud, the choking smoke, and the visceral terror of the 1940s, where your grandfather's sacrifice was being quietly converted into the foundation of the corporate empires that rule your life today? While the world was burning and families were rationing something as basic as butter, a handful of companies weren't just surviving, they were being handed a literal government-stamped cheat code for global domination, building economic fortresses so impenetrable that 80 years later, they're the only reason your retirement account has a pulse. You probably think you're playing in a free market, but let's be honest, you're playing in a casino where the house was built by the winners of World War II. And if you don't understand the War Profit Playbook, you're not an investor, you're just a spectator watching the rich get richer, while you wonder why your dividends don't cover your grocery bill. But here is the first twist. The war didn't just create wealth, it erased the competition. Before 1941, the American economy was essentially on life support, rotting away from the Great Depression until Pearl Harbor turned into the ultimate buy signal for the elite. Suddenly, the government didn't just need products, they needed a miracle, and they were willing to pay for it with your tax dollars by offering a deal called cost plus fixed fee contract, which is basically the corporate equivalent of winning the lottery without even having to buy a ticket. Imagine walking into a bank and saying, I want to build a rocket, but I might fail, it might cost 10 times more than I thought, and I'm kind of a mess. And the bank responds by saying, no problem, we'll pay for every mistake, every gold-plated toilet handle, and then we'll give you an extra 7% profit just for showing up. It sounds like a bad joke, right? Well, that joke built the S&P 500. It was a version of capitalism where it was physically and legally impossible to lose money, and the only people invited to the party were the ones already sitting in the boardroom. Take General Motors, for example. Before the war, they were struggling to sell family sedans to people who couldn't afford bread, but by 1942, Uncle Sam turned into a corporate Santa Claus, paying for brand new factories, cutting-edge research, and a massive workforce, only to hand the keys back to GM when the dust settled. They produced 10% of all war material, securing what would be $200 billion in today's currency, risk-free. And the best part for them was that the engine technology they developed to destroy tanks was the exact same tech they used to build the luxury cars that fueled the 1950s boom. It's like your dad giving you $50 to go buy milk and you come back with a private jet and tell him he still owes you for the gas. That's not business. That's a heist with a patriotic coat of paint, and it's the reason GM could crush every small car manufacturer for the next half-century. But wait, the plot thickens when we look at the sky. Boeing went from a niche aircraft maker to an unstoppable monster by churning out 362 bombers a month, while the government forced their competitors to hand over secret patents for free in the name of the war effort. Imagine being a small inventor and the government knocks on your door, takes your best ideas, gives them to a billion-dollar company, and says, don't worry, it's for the boys overseas. Boeing didn't just win a war, they absorbed the collective intelligence of an entire nation, built a moat made of government-funded runways and secret blueprints, and then used that taxpayer-funded jet technology to launch the 707 and control the skies forever. If you're waiting for the free market to give you a chance against a company that was literally built by the Department of Defense, you're going to be waiting a very long time. Now, for a bit of dark humor, while men were dying on the beaches of Normandy, Coca-Cola was pulling off the most brilliant marketing scam in human history. They convinced the US military that soda was essential for morale, which meant the taxpayer literally paid to ship 64 bottling plants to the front lines. Coke didn't build a global distribution network. The US Army built it for them, and they did it with a smile. It's the only time in history where the military acted as a delivery service for a sugar water company. By the time the war ended, they had a global monopoly because every local from Paris to Tokyo was already addicted to the taste of freedom. And the twist? They even made a secret white Coke that looked like vodka, just so a Soviet marshal could drink it without being sent to the gulag by Stalin. When your brand is so powerful that even the most terrifying dictators on earth are smuggling your soda, you don't just have a business, you have a religion. But let's talk about the shadows. Let's talk about IBM. They tripled their revenue by becoming the operating system for the entire war, creating a level of bureaucratic dependency so deep that once the government started using their punch cards, they were locked in forever. This is what what we call high switching costs, the holy grail of the stock market, where your customer is essentially your prisoner because it's too expensive and painful to leave. IBM didn't just sell machines, they sold the strings that pulled the world together, and they weren't particularly picky about who was pulling those strings as long as the checks cleared. It's a cold, hard truth. The most profitable companies aren't the ones with the best hearts. They're the ones that make themselves impossible to live without. Here is the ultimate twist that should make your skin crawl. History doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. And right now, the War Profit Playbook is being run again in the sectors of semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity. We're currently in a silent war, and the government is once again socializing the risk for the big players, while you, the retail investor, are left to gamble on the scraps. If you want to stop being a casualty of the economy and start building real wealth, you need to look for the national security umbrella, the companies that the government cannot allow to fail. You need to look for dual-use tech, where military research is quietly being groomed for the next consumer craze, because the elite aren't smarter than you. They just know that during a crisis, wealth doesn't actually disappear. It simply transfers to the people who own the infrastructure of the solution. Think about it. The 1940s created the military-industrial complex that gave us Boeing and Raytheon. The 1990s gave us the tech-industrial complex. And the 2020s, they gave us something even more aggressive. You see, as massive as the World War II wealth transfer was, it's nothing compared to the psychological and financial heist we just witnessed in the last few years. While the world was distracted, scared, and locked in their homes, the modern crisis playbook was used to wipe out millions of small businesses, the very backbone of the middle class, and funnel that market share directly into the hands of a few tech and retail giants. It was a move so calculated and so fast that it makes the 1940s look like a slow-motion rehearsal. You were told we were all in this together, but the stock market told a different story. While you were worried about your job, the top 1% were watching their net worth double in a matter of months. They used the chaos to buy the world at a discount, just like the corporate titans did in the wake of World War II. The patterns are identical. Fear leads to government spending leads to corporate monopolies, and corporate monopolies lead to a wealth gap that looks like a canyon. If you're still trying to use old-school investing advice in this new crisis economy, you're bringing a knife to a drone fight. So, if you want to see exactly how they pulled it off, how they turned a global medical emergency into a billionaire-making machine while the rest of America went broke, you need to see the data I've uncovered in my next video. It's a breakdown that most people are too afraid to talk about: how COVID made the rich filthy rich while America went broke. Click that video on your screen right now, because in this market, being uninformed isn't just a mistake. It's a voluntary donation to the people who already have too much. Smash that subscribe button and join the side that actually understands the game. I'll see you in the next one. Don't get left behind.